We're on. Happy Tuesday morning again, everybody. Jill Simonian from PragerU Kids here with, I want a drum roll. Who are you?
Amala. Always. Is it even a surprise at this point? Probably not.
No. And you are my light every Tuesday when I come here, because I just told Amala, as we get going, I want to say hi to everyone. Hope all of the parents and educators and grandparents are keeping their wits about them this Tuesday morning, because we've got a spicy headline to tackle. But I was literally just telling Amala, as you guys roll in and start watching, I was telling Amala, sometimes you make me nervous because you're too calm and collected. And
What can I say? What can I say? I will freak out for you, Jill. If you would, I don't know, if you'd appreciate that. If it helps you do better, I will do that for you.
I'm just laughing because as a mom, seeing this headline, FBI going against parents who oppose CRT ? I tend to freak out, flip out, and Amala is cool and calm and zen, and I really appreciate it more than you know. So let's freak out. All of you parents and grandparents and educators who are in fact a member of our PragerU Kids Prep membership, who talk about all of this already in our private discussion group on Facebook and in our brand new community app. We're talking about this. We are disturbed about this headline, but I wanted to bring it to light today on our weekly check-in as sort of a spirit strengthening exercise to really say, okay, let's be like Amala. Let's be zen. Let's take a step back. Let's be calm and collected and really look at what the Department of Justice letter says. Instead of, flipping out like me with 2 kids in elementary school, flipping out, going crazy, let's really look at what this letter says. Yesterday, the Department of Justice issued a letter which Christopher Rufo, see, I'm freaking out. Christopher Rufo, our favorite activist trying to restore reason and logic in our schools and corporations, Christopher Rufo shared a thread of tweets about this letter from the Department of Justice. So do we have it pulled up?
Yes, we do.
I think we do. Okay, awesome. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I believe that we'll probably link to Christopher Rufo's tweets, or you can Google this and, find it anywhere on the web. But it is from the Office of the Attorney General. And it starts, in recent months, there has been a disturbing spike in harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff who participate in the vital work of running our nation's public schools. While spirited debate about policy matters is protected under our Constitution, ding, 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 that protection does not extend to threats of violence or efforts to intimidate individuals based on their views. And then the letter goes on to, talk about threats against public servants are not only illegal. Of course, we agree with that.
Yes, we do.
I don't condone violence.
No.
I don't think someone should threaten someone's life over a difference of opinion ever. I don't think someone should be beat up or pushed or shoved or, I do not ever condone violence. So the letter continues, coordination and partnership with local law enforcement is critical to implementing these measures for the benefit of our nation's nearly 14,000 public school districts. To this end, I am directing the Federal Bureau of Investigation, working with each United States attorney, to convene meetings with federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial leaders of each federal judicial district within 30 days of the issuance of this memorandum. These meetings will facilitate the discussion of strategies for addressing threats against school administrators, board members, teachers, and staff, and will open dedicated lines of communication for threat reporting, assessment, and response. So the big question here is, now they don't, in this letter, critical race theory is not mentioned explicitly. They're not mentioning mandates about masks or vaccines. They're not detailing what exactly has been discussed or debated in a very spirited way at these board meetings. But hello, what do we suppose it is, Amala?
We suppose that it's CRT and gender theory and mandates.
Yeah, because that's what's been happening this last year.
Right.
Online, every day, there's a new viral video of a parent or of a teacher quitting his or her job over a disagreement, these things. Every single day, we are seeing a rise in parental involvements and a rise in parents and educators, I will say, because we do know and appreciate and love all of our wonderful educators out here who know that what's going on in our schools is wrong. We have seen a rise in spirited discussion and debate. That's the words I'm going to use, like we've never seen before in our public school system. And this is the very first time this is happening. This is the first time that school boards and teachers and superintendents and district administrators have been faced with this type of very, very deep and emergency conflict, I will say. And quite frankly, I think they're getting nervous about it because they know that they are losing their grip in our institutions and on our children. Right. And yeah, there have been, again, we don't condone any violence at all. Violence is wrong. And we have seen a few instances of physical altercations that have happened at these school board meetings, but by and far, the overwhelming majority of what has been going on at our school board meetings have been parents literally standing in a microphone, maybe reading a paper like this, some of them shaking, most of them in masks, some of them intimidated, some of them shy, nervous, crying, parents and teachers crying in front of school boards, and some of them, of course, very spirited. So my question is this letter from the Department of Justice trying to suppress free speech? What do we think?
It's definitely an intimidation tactic. Now, parents are going to see this letter out of the Department of Justice, and they're going to say, oh, well, if I go to my school board, who's to say what is deemed as violent? Who's to say what's deemed as a threat? Maybe I won't do it anymore because this guy told me not to do it anymore. And Chris Rufo sort of explains this in his thread. He says they want to reclassify dissent as disinformation and domestic terrorism, justifying an unprecedented intervention both directly and in partnership with tech companies.
You know, it's interesting. We share Chris Rufo here a lot. And I know you saw it. So our recent mini documentary, Miseducated, included a very, very deep conversation that I had with Christopher Rufo about all of this. This is just a side note of shameless self-promotion. If you go and watch our mini documentary, Miseducated, you will get a little bit of deeper insight in terms of the background of what is happening in our schools with critical race theory, because he and I had a really poignant conversation. And in fact, I think we're going to share the uncut version of that video coming up soon. But it is an intimidation factor. And I got to share a story with you. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, Amala. This is a real life example that I am sharing, something that happened to me almost a year ago that really touches in on this suppression of free speech from school administrators onto the parents. Nearly a year ago, I posted a video on my own social media before I worked here, before I worked for PragerU Kids, before I started doing any sort of programming that celebrated American values for kids. I posted a video on my own social media accounts that said, we need to be careful that our schools are not indoctrinating our children. We want education, not indoctrination. I did not mention a school name. I did not mention a district name. I did not even mention my children's name or what state or city or county I lived in. Guess what happened within 24 hours of me posting that video of myself sharing an opinion on my social media accounts? My former school principal sent me an email and said, "Hi, Jill, we need to talk about your social media." And that led to a back and forth discussion, and I had to go for an hour-long meeting and have her tell me why she thought that I should not post that on my social media accounts. And I had to sit there with her and a teacher that my daughter was in the class with and a teacher union rep and explain myself. And it was the most mind-blowing, what in the world is happening moment. And that right there is when I realized, oh, as parents, they do want to take our rights away. They do want to suppress our speech. And I talked about it with her and frankly hold my ground, but she was shocked that I would even push back and say, you have no right to tell me what I'm able to communicate in a public forum.
Ridiculous.
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 I thought for sure Amala would get fired up about that, but still she's cool and calm and collected.
You try not to get desensitized to these things, but honestly, at this point, I am. It keeps happening, continues to happen, and the FBI and the Department of Justice will continually back causes that support their agenda. You notice how the Department of Justice is all up in arms about parents who are trying to defend their children. They're not up in arms about the crime that is happening in our Democrat-run cities. They're not up in arms about the drugs that are going around everywhere. They weren't up in arms when the United States gymnast came to them about their sexual assault and that whole ring that was happening. But suddenly, when parents start going viral calling out CRT, it's the end of the world.
And you know what else is fascinating to me is that in all of those things that you mentioned, they seem to always appreciate an emotional response. If it's on their side, they want the passion, they want the emotional response, they want everyone to feel what everyone's feeling. Yet when I stand up, or a parent or another teacher, if anyone stands up in front of the school board and lets that emotion out, thinking that they're going to appreciate emotion, it's immediately shut down and really pushed back against and said, oh, no, you're getting threatening, you're harassing us. Right. So if someone like me stands up in front of the school board that regulates the district that I live in, and I happen to look at some of the school board members and say, you have been in office 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, you are incapable of doing your job effectively. We are in a worse place that we have been in previous years. All of you should resign. Right. Is that considered a threat?
Not to my knowledge, but maybe to theirs, and that's the effort. They want to start to label these things that are completely innocuous in terms of being a threat or a threat of violence by any means, and they want to label that so that you are scared, so that you don't go and do these things, and so that you face, federal offenses for doing these things.
The First Amendment is my favorite amendment.
Should be everybody's.
As you can probably guess. And I always go back. So Dennis Prager always has very wise, level-headed words about the First Amendment. He says you either support free speech or you don't. So is there any kind of free speech that is not protected? Just as a reminder for our parents out there.
You cannot directly threaten somebody with violence, and I would advise that you don't yell fire in a crowded theater.
Yes,
so, yes,
but
not protected.
Free speech can sometimes offend if you don't agree with it. Yep. And free speech can sometimes be loud.
Yep.
And free speech can sometimes be emotional. And whether that's a mom or a teacher crying in front of the school board, that is free speech as long as you are not getting violent or threatening anyone's life. And we always want to advise against that. That is never okay. All right. Anything else? Any comments, Taylor?
I do want to share, Kevin just shared a really interesting quote from Ayn Rand. It says, the only power any government has is the power to crack down on criminals. Well, when there aren't enough criminals, one makes them. One declares so many things to be a crime that it becomes impossible for men to live without breaking laws. How fitting is that for what's happening that we're seeing with this specific case is they're declaring these parents who are standing up with free speech. They're saying that they're threatening these school board leaders or whatever, threatening their safety, etc. Which, by the way, I would love to know what the FBI's thoughts are about the people who are harassing Senator Kyrsten Sinema and chasing her into bathrooms and screaming at her.
Right.
Where's the investigation launching against the threats in her safety?
But the FBI
Great question.
They jump on Jussie Smollett's and Bubba Wallace's. That's what they jump on because it promotes their agenda.
Yeah. You're right. All right. Any other questions? If you're a parent or a grandparent who has stood up to a school board, I commend you. I applaud you. I am grateful for you. In fact, all of the team at PragerU Kids is grateful for you. If you're not a member of our PragerU Kids Prep membership yet, join us. Go to PragerUKids.com. Wait a minute. What did I just say? PragerU.com.
There we go.
I think you can go to PragerUKids.com because I believe that takes you to our PragerU Kids page where you can then scroll the page and click on where you can join as a prep member to join our private discussion discussion group where we talk about all of these issues and really offer solutions to each other, parent to parent, parent to teacher to teacher from across the country. We're going to end on a positive note. Yes. Okay. Positive note, what day is Monday, Amala?
Columbus Day.
She knew it. She knew it. I wanted to quiz you. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And there's a whole poem that goes along with it, which I admittedly don't know. Do you know it?
I don't know
Okay, good. No shame.
Either.
No shame in the game.
No, not at all.
I don't know it, but we don't know it because Columbus Day has gradually been canceled and canceled and canceled. But at PragerU Kids, here we go. We're bringing it back. Here's the book, Otto's Tales. Today is Columbus Day. This book is available. You can go to our website, prageru.com/kidsbooks. We have a book about the national anthem, the Pledge of Allegiance, September 11th, and also Columbus Day. A book comes out every single month. Pick up this book. This book is admittedly, it might be one of my favorites because guess who's doing the Storytime video on our website?
See, I know the answer.
You know the answer, but I want you to tell me.
One of my favorites, Michael Knowles.
Michael Knowles is brilliant. And Michael, if you are watching this, please know from the bottom of my heart, I do not gush over most anything. His interpretation of this book, reading it to children, is absolutely fantastic. He does this Italian accent that will have you jumping for joy, leaping out of your chair. Your kids are going to love it. The episode of Otto's Tales, Today is Columbus Day, is on our website now. I'm pretty sure we're going to drop the link in to share with your children or your students. Get the book, follow along with the video. You're going to love Michael's Italian accent. I don't even want to attempt it because it will not do it justice. But that's our latest offering today for PragerU Kids. Something for those who want to continue to teach our kids about our American history and world history for that matter, and really celebrate what it means to have courage and perseverance and discover things that really changed the world and ultimately led to the creation of the United States of America. So if you haven't watched PragerUKids.com, and Michael Knowles, Otto's Tales episode.
We can give you a little clip here if you want to preview.
Oh, yeah, I forgot we can do that. What, can you try to fast forward?
Welcome to
Fast forward
Otto's
to
Tales.
some of the stories so that they
Visits and
see.
travel the world.
Okay.
Dennis
Even if
pulled
you
out a
just
suitcase. This can be our time machine, he said.
Fast forward a little bit
Hop
more.
in.
Fast forward
We're
a little
going
bit.
on another big...
I want you to hear his Italian accent.
He
Here.
came up with a plan to sail across the Atlantic. This was no small journey. Its goal was quite gigantic. He said, I'm going to sail to India by heading to the west. Dennis asked, how can you be sure that route really is the best?
See?
Yeah.
I have a
See?
compass and quadrant,
okay, so that was
which
just a little teeny tiny morsel.
Right.
Watch it with your kids. You're going to love it. Okay, any other questions, Taylor? Are parents scared out there? No. Do not be scared. Do not be intimidated. Freedom of speech is protected under our Constitution. Continue to communicate concerns in a peaceful way. You can get emotional. Emotion does not equal violence, but continue to really assert our parents' rights in educating our children. Parents are the primary educators of our children, and it really does take a parent-community-school partnership. And don't stop. Keep going. Keep going, because it's never easy to do the right thing, but the right thing is always worth it. All right. I think that's it. Is that it?
I think that
Any other
sums it
words
up.
of wisdom? Stay calm. Amala's going to say, calm down, Jill.
I will say this. Now is a more important time than ever to fight for your freedom, to fight for your children, and never forget that, and continue to do what you're doing, and if not, do more. There you go.
Thank you. I can always depend on her for rationality. All right, you guys, if you haven't joined us, PragerUKids.com. Join our prep membership and have a great rest of the week.
Bye.